Dr. Schaefer, I want you to assume that Conrad Murray became aware of Michael's condition sometime around noon.
Yes.
And that he then made a phone call at 12:12 and left a voicemail message for an individual, Michael Amir Williams, and then had 911 called at 12:20. So let's assume that 20-minute delay in calling 911, and also assume that in the middle of that at 12:12, Conrad Murray actually called someone else, left a message, and made no indication that 911 was required. How would you assess those specific facts as it related to the care or lack thereof provided by Conrad Murray?
That is so egregious that I actually find it difficult to even comprehend that you could have a patient who has arrested and you call and you leave a voice message for someone. It's just inconceivable to me that is how a physician would not do that. A physician would not call when a patient has arrested and leave a voicemail for somebody.
In this scenario where Conrad Murray admits to giving, over the course of time, in his words, 4 milligrams of flumezanil, was it 4 milligrams of lorazepam, was it appropriate then to give him flumezanil, and did you draw any conclusions from that?
There was nothing wrong with giving flumezanil. It might have been useful, but 4 milligrams of lorazepam given hours before would probably not require reversal. So I thought it curious, given the description of only giving 2 doses of lorazepam, each quite small, that he would choose at this critical moment in Michael Jackson's life to give a drug to reverse lorazepam. It doesn't fit.
Does it indicate to you in your review of the records that Conrad Murray was aware he had in fact given more than 4 milligrams of lorazepam?
That was my interpretation, that he knew he had given a lot of lorazepam, which is why he very quickly reached for the antidote to lorazepam. He knew that Michael Jackson had had a lot. That was my conclusion. The therapy that was used doesn't suggest any understanding of these drugs. Additionally, they're being given along with propofol. Now that's common. We commonly combine a drug like midazolam with propofol in anesthesia. But we do it in ways that we understand. We don't willy-nilly, let's give a little more lorazepam, let's give a little more midazolam, let's try some oral Valium, let's do this. The polypharmacy in this case suggests that it was done without any real understanding of the drugs that were being used, how they worked, and how they interacted. In this setting, there are so many variables that make it impossible to predict the response to a dose of propofol that there is no safe dose. Midazolam has been given and lorazepam has been given. It would take me a couple days to try to figure out with the models that I have what the effect of that would be. It's not clear. I could calculate it, but it would take time. Then you have a patient who may be withdrawing from benzodiazepines, from Valium-like drugs. After all, this patient's been getting them every night for 80 days and may have withdrawal from them, or may have tolerance to them. We don't know. Could the patient have tolerance to propofol? It's not well documented because nobody does this. But we do know that to all the other drugs that act at that location, it's called the GABA receptor, all the other drugs that act there are associated with dependence and symptoms of withdrawal. So maybe the patient is dependent on it. Maybe the patient may have withdrawal from it. We are in pharmacological never-never land here, something that's only been done to Michael Jackson and to no one else in history, to the best of my knowledge. So any dose of propofol is a potentially dangerous dose. When Dr. Murray agreed to treat insomnia with propofol, he put Dr. Murray first, not Michael Jackson. When he showed up every night with bottles of propofol and bags of saline, he was not putting Michael Jackson first. He was putting Dr. Murray first. And in the emergency room at UCLA Medical Center, when he misrepresented the type of arrest that it had been and withheld information about the drugs that had been given, he was not putting the patient first. He was putting Conrad Murray first.